Thank you, Mark. And thank you, IJS, for everything you do. Robin, I send you my love and also gratitude in this moment. And I like, Mark, what you said about lingering. It is a Yom Kippur lingering still within us. And this is going to be at the center of the meditation today. Because we are in the days between Yom Kippur and Sukkot. And these days between Yom Kippur and Sukkot are very, very magical, very, very special ones. I remember when I was a rabbi in Chile, and I remember there was a person from the congregation who was a very well-known mountain climber, and he went to the Himalayas, Mount Everest, a few times. And he was saying the mystical experience of going to Everest, as he was saying also how difficult it was to come back from the mountain and to come back for reality. And I remember him saying, thank God it takes a few days and sometimes weeks to come back after this big experience. So this is where we are now. We just left Yom Kippur. We just left this moment of meeting the ineffable, meeting with God, meeting with our aspirations, meeting with failures, meeting with our shame, meeting with our vulnerability, because the meeting our vulnerability is a sign of courage. I'm saying, this is what I have failed. God, I'm sorry. And we started the day with Kol Nidre saying, all the vows that I took, I failed. Sorry, God, I failed. And in this dramatic dance between acknowledgement of the failure and God saying, Salachti Gidbarecha, I'm forgiving you. I'm giving you another chance. So Kippur in general is it's a celebration of our vulnerability. And how do we build from our vulnerability? How do we build from the mistakes, from the aspirations, from that what we wanted but we couldn't? And we are having this Yom Kippur Day. We had this Yom Kippur Day in the middle of COVID, when so many things collapsed, when we are dealing with this sense of collective mourning for the plans that collapsed, and this sense of extended uncertainty. And these two create a sense of anxiety. So we're coming down from the mountain of Yom Kippur when we experience, God willing, even if it's a glimpse of peak experience, coming down to earth. And coming down to earth is the symbol of Sukkot. So I want to keep that in mind. So I'm going to put a music that takes you to the mountain, and then knowing in the Kavanah that we're going to go towards Sukkot. And at the end, I'm going to speak a little bit about Sukkot, because Sukkot is a way of saying, okay, now we are back to earth. And we're going to put the Sukkah together. And the Sukkah, you were in the world of the spirit, now we are going to come down to the world of the matter. It's the moment to begin to put everything that we felt in Kippur into action. That's kind of the symbol of Sukkot. So let's start. It's going to start with music, and then it's going to be silence, and then I'm going to talk just for a few minutes at the end. So I invite you to sit in a position that conveys alertness and ease. This creative tension between being alert and at ease at the same time. connecting with our breath, neshima, neshama, breathing and soul that come from the same root. And when thoughts come up, because thoughts are going to come up, you just notice them without engaging. And you stay present to the breath as we practice presence. So I'm going to allow the music to play, which is part of the music of the mountain, knowing that we are in this journey of beginning to apply everything that we saw on Kippur as a way to go to the land. So allow yourself, when the music plays, just to feel it. Imagine that this music is like a mikvah of sound that comes through you and allows you to feel something. And just be present for the music. It's going to be short and sweet. And then let's be in silence. And as we are breathing in, breathing out with our eyes closed, I invite you to take a deep inhale, hold it for 3 seconds, and exhale with a sigh. And very slowly, at your own pace, you open your eyes. If you need to clean your eyes with your hands, stretch a little bit. So I want to finish with a wish, with a prayer for these moments between Yom Kippur and Sukkot. The Sukkah is fragile. It symbolizes the fragility of life, and in this moment more than ever, we come back to the world that is fragile. But we touch, now talking about the lulav, which is the palm, to be in touch with the backbone of the highest values that we touch in Yom Kippur. As this palm is erect, symbolizing the power, the energy of this backbone. And then the willow and the myrtle, the ravot, the dasim, the right and left. I invite us to embrace as a symbol of the right side and the left side of the brain. May we have, even within this fragility, the capacity to be in touch with our backbone, where the emotions and the reason will be in tune and not in fight with each other, and the throat symbolizes the heart. So may all this go through the heart as a way to return to life, to base camp, to do again whatever we are supposed to do in life, what we came to do. Thank you to Angel. Yes. Shana Tova. Gemar Chatima Tova.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Amen. 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 Rabbi Marcelo Bronstein, thank you so much. And friends, we seal this practice, as we always do each day, by offering an opportunity for those who are in mourning, observing yard site, holding grief, to share the name or names of anyone you are holding in your heart in the chat box. And for those of us who are not in that category, to practice compassionate presence for those who are, by being attentive and present. And I invite those who are in mourning or observing the sites to join me in rising in body or in spirit for Kaddish. Yitkadal, Yitkadash, Shemei Rabba.
Amen.
Ve'alma,
Divra,
Divra,
Kirutei,
Kirutei,
Yamlich,
Rimlich
Malkutei,
Malkutei, V'chayakon,
Chayekon,
Ufyomechon,
Uchaye,
Uchaye, Dekol,
Dekol, Beit
Beit
Yisrael,
Yisrael,
Ha'agala,
Adagala,
Zman
B'Bizman,
Karib,
Karib,
Vimru,
Vimru,
Amen.
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 Yehi Shmei
Yeheshme,
Rabba
Rabba,
Barak
Korah,
Olam
Be'olam,
V'Maya.
Maya.
Yitbarach,
Yiparach,
V'Yishtabach,
V'Yishtabach,
V'Yitpa'ar,
V'Yitpa'ar,
V'Yitmam,
V'Yitramam,
Naseh,
V'Yitnaseh,
V'Yithadar, V'Yitale,
Yitadar,
V'Yitalal,
Yitale,
Shmei
Yitalal,
V'Kedusha,
Shemay,
V'Ruchu,
V'Kudisha,
La'ela
Ruhu,
Mikol
Ela
Birkata
Mikol
V'Shvirata,
Pirkata, Vishirata,
V'Shvirata
Vishbekata,
V'Nakamata, Ha'amira,
Vinakamata, Damira,
Ha'alma,
Bilma,
Vimru,
Vimru,
Amen.
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 Yehi
Yehi
Shlama
Shlama
Rabba
Rabba
Min
Min
Shamaya.
Shemaya.
B'chaim
Chaim
Aleinu
Aleinu
Ve'al Kol
Ve'al Yisrael.
Yisrael. V'imru
Vimru
Amen.
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 Oseh Shalom
Say
B'romav.
Shalom Bimramav.
Hu
Hu
Yaseh
Yaseh
Shalom
Shalom.
Aleinu
Aleinu
Kol
Ve'al
Yisrael.
Yisrael.
Ve'al Kol Yoshvei
Ve'al
Tevel.
Yoshvei Tevel. Vimru Amen.
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 Friends, thank you as always for joining us today. For those who are leaving us now, wish you a Shabbat Shalom, a sweet Shabbat, a Shana Tova. We hope you'll join us on Monday, the day of Erev Sukkot, so we can continue in our process of following the spiritual arc of these holy days, these sacred times, and of course next week as well on Thursday and Friday. All of the meditations in this series are recorded. You can always access them as you'd like or revisit this one on our YouTube channel, which we encourage you to subscribe to. Thanks so much to our teacher today, Rabbi Marcelo Bronstein, and thanks to our sponsor for today, Robin Sacknoff. Thank you so much, both for your support and your ongoing presence on these sit, but also for supporting us today, honoring the IJS staff, and dedicating the sit to your daughter Tracy and your brother Bert and Martin White. May their memories be a blessing always for you in your life and the lives of those they touched. Thanks to Adi Stein, as always, for holding our tech space with grace and skill. For those who are able and would like, you're welcome to stay on for some conversation with Rabbi Marcelo about today's teaching and about the practice, and maybe exploring ways of bringing it into the rest of our day, into the rest of our lives. If you have a question you'd like to share, keep an eye on the chat box. You can put it in the chat box, and I'll try to keep an eye out for that. And first of all, thank you, Marcelo. And just to let people know, in case they don't, but they think they might, that that's not a virtual background behind you, but actually we get to vicariously bathe, do some forest bathing in the rainforest of Costa Rica whenever you're leading us, which is that alone. Your teaching and that are such a great gift. So I want to thank you for that. And here, let's lead off the questions, Marcelo. I have a couple, but just so I don't forget, one of them has to do with the practice of sighing, which you invited people into at the end there. But here's a question that came up for me, maybe because, as a Jew in the pew these days myself, the high, the spiritual, the mountain that you described for Yom Kippur, I had some moments. I had a few moments, but for those who may not, in fact, have had that, maybe I want to speak a little bit to that. We are in this arc of the Jewish year, but for those who might have responded to that, for example, by saying like, I don't know, I didn't have such a high, or I haven't been paying much attention until now. What would you advise for people in terms of, Yom Kippur is over, I missed the opportunity. How do we deal with that?
I think it's a great question, because this is part of why this is a practice. And at the beginning, also when I began to attend Yom Kippur services as a child, as a kid, I didn't get it. What is this whole hoopla about? But then I began to connect with the crying of people and with the mystery, with the drama. And I said, oh my God, this must be important for so many people to be crying for people. So I would take it as an invitation. There is an invitation. And I think the whole Jewish holidays are an invitation. Who was the rabbi who made, it's not mine, so I'm not taking credit for this. There is the teaching that says the tent of the meeting, an Oel Moed. That's the expression that is used for the tabernacle. When Jews were in the desert, so they have this tent, the Oel Moed, the tent of the meeting. So the Jewish holidays are this tent of the meeting in time. Basically, there is a tent that comes up every Friday and every Saturday, And it says to Mark, says to Marcelo, to everybody, actually, I don't care if you want to go to shul. I don't care if you want to light candles. I don't care if you want to talk about mishpatim, laws, this, whatever. I'm setting this tent up there. Come up whenever you want to come up, even for a moment, for this, for that, whatever. There's an invitation. And then April comes and says, I'm going to put this tent called Pesach. I don't know if you're in the mood to talk about freedom. I don't know if you're in the mood to connect that you were slaves. What do you mean slave? I wasn't a slave. Well, it's your collective unconscious. So, and I love these explanations. There are tens of meaning out there. So if we didn't feel something, don't give up, I'm saying, and don't give that up, because everybody's invited to this tent. And sometimes there's a glimpse, sometimes there's a moment, sometimes it's iskor. For me, for example, in the mindfulness service, the iskor of Yom Kippur is just incredible. As you said, I'm a shrink, I'm a clinical psychologist. And I'm thinking, who was the genius who invented a moment of memory in the context of forgiveness? Psychologically speaking, it's a genius, because the relationship with our loved ones goes on. And we sometimes have to forgive them. Sometimes we need forgiveness from them. We need some release. Another invitation within Yom Kippur. Let's meet our loved ones who have departed in the context of forgiveness.
Uh-huh.
So I would say compassion, compassion, compassion. Have compassion. Know that these people, these crazy people, the Jewish people, have these tents put up there for you to come up in different moments. And even if we find, as my Rabbi used to say, even if we hear an echo of an echo of an echo of a voice, it's good enough.
That's really helpful. Thank you for sharing that, Marcelo. And it's partly because the imagery at the end of Yom Kippur and the Ilah, of course, is that the gates closing and this sense of urgency, like this is your last chance, right? And if you missed it, it's over. Then what? So the idea of the tent that's always open, that's always welcoming, is really powerful. You also describe really beautifully this transition from a focus on Yom Kippur of not escaping our earthliness, but of really focusing on this, our spiritual essence, right? Which is part of why death and grief is, or I should say, really impermanence, mortality, are really the central themes of Yom Kippur. And then we go just 5 days later into immersion, into taking that awareness into the body and into the earth, as you said. And Sukkot is such an earth-based chag. So I want to thank you for that. There's a question about for those who did experience a sense of being at the mountaintop and may have felt a little either wired, as Martha was describing, like I can't quite, I don't want to leave the mountaintop, or I can't leave the mountaintop, or I need something to transition into that in this liminal space that we have between Yom Kippur and Sukkot. Do you have any advice for that? How do we make the transition? Yes. I mean, some people are actually going to build their own Sukkot. I know Sukkah, which is like a very practical ritual for doing that, and some don't have that opportunity. Any suggestions?
Yeah, I would say, first of all, just a little experience of, I do retreats. I love retreats. Why retreats? Because retreats not retreating from the world. It's actually taking time to work on your soul. That's what a retreat is, basically. Mm-hmm. So, but my first silent meditation retreat was 10 days. I thought I was going to kill somebody after 2 days. I was going crazy. I was going bananas. I didn't know what to do with myself. Then, Mark, I discovered silence.
Then, I'm sorry?
I discovered silence, real silence. I discovered silence not as the absence of noise, but as a landscape. The landscape where the soul lives. And I remember the feeling when the retreat was ending. I didn't want the retreat to end. I just wanted to stay there. I said, no, don't tell me. Because the teachers were saying, okay, we have 1 day left, whatever. I said, oh my God, like the same sense of urgency. And I would say, regarding the Sukkot and regarding how do we bring big moments, journaling, journaling, journaling. Bring the Sukkot, create the Sukkah of your own journal from the experience. Maybe it could be a Yom Kippur, if you had the experience, journal. And write your experiences, write your feelings. Create the Sukkah from your own emotions, from whatever happened to you. What really happened there? So it doesn't stay only in a feeling, but it stays something because you touch a part of your soul. That is fragile because the Sukkah is fragile, you know. Once I had a Sukkah and big storm, boom, gone. Gone with the wind. Remember that movie? This was literal, gone with the wind. So life is like that. But if we take the invitation to write it down, to see what is it that I'm building with these concepts, to see what is it that I am deciding to, the steps that I'm deciding to take with some of these emotions, feelings, whatever I touch, that could be that's one of my advices.
That's beautiful too. The sense of retreat. I mean, it was really like, so Yom Kippur, we think about Yom Kippur as a retreat, and I just, Shira has a beautiful note here that Reb Zalman, Zichrono Livracha, what used to say apparently that retreat should be called advances, because it moves us forward on our journey. There is a question here, given that it is a Shemitah year, and this is a year of, this is a special Sukkot because of a Shemitah year, that we're really meant to stay especially connected to this planet and to the earth and to, this material reality in some way. How maybe you want to say a little bit about that, the significance of this being a Shemitah year in terms of our practice.
Yeah, I mean, Shemitah is a completely countercultural experience. What does it mean, Shemitah? You're going to let the land rest. So simple. And we, in the culture that we live, we don't let anything rest. Resting is seen as a waste of time. And suddenly comes, the tradition says, that which gives you food, that which you're dependent on, needs to breathe. So please shut up. Leave it alone. So I just want to take that concept of, wow. So what does it mean that for me to really not overdo? Because we are paying the price that we have done to the earth. We are paying the price for the industrialization of agriculture. We forget about Shemitah. Just there are different ways of also treating the land. You leave this land to rest and you work on this one. There are different ways of it. We have done everything that we could to destroy the earth. So first of all, more than ever, the concept of Shemitah, I would say that read about agriculture. I live in a sustainable community. And when there are no grapes, there are no grapes. When there are no apples, there are no apples. Okay, I have mangoes, I have avocados, I have this, I have that. And you eat what you have, not something that is brought from Australia or Chile or whatever. So what I would invite us, first of all, to connect really with the earth. What does it mean that there are seasons of the earth? What's the blessing of that? And how can we live a more sustainable life? Actually, before living here, I really knew, but I didn't know what sustainability is. Now I understand with the solar panels and this biodigester, the gray waters are treated. So it's a whole different way of living. So if we cannot do that, maybe we can do something. But also, I would challenge us to think, what about your own Shemitah? Are you overworking? You have pushed yourself to the limits of stress? If the earth needs to rest, what about our body? What about our minds?
Mhm.
So it's the way to declare also a Shemitah sabbatical, not a full sabbatical, but something that you declare time that is not a vacation. It's contemplative work to heal yourself. And we want to heal the earth, to heal ourselves. So I think it's a most
Yeah,
teachable Shemitah.
thanks for
Completely
that.
countercultural.
Yeah, so we have just 1 minute. I was going to ask you about the sighing, but what you just said actually evoked a sigh in me, right? Of a sigh of awareness of, the pain of what you were describing, and of the challenge of, doing that. But mostly pain, I would say, grief, right? About what, as you described, what we have done to this planet. So maybe just say a few words about why you invited us to sigh, to inhale and then hold the breath for a few moments and then express a sigh as we exhale. But what was that for you?
Because I believe that, first of all, we don't take deep breath. We just are in a shallow mode of superficial mode of breathing.
Mm-hmm.
And we take a deep breath. And we express. Like, I don't have a minute, I have more than a minute to say about this. But there is a way to express and to give voice to the cold mamadaka, to the still small voice of the soul. We all have a still small voice of the soul that is crying to be heard, is crying to be seen, and cannot be heard when we are all the time running. So take a deep breath. It's a way of the sigh of the soul to come up and say, Marcelo, I love this. My wife says sometimes it sounds aggressive when I say, please shut up. For a moment, shut up, stop your mind. There is something above and beyond your own ideas and narcissism. There is an existence, there is a mystery. So let's connect with that. And the breath, and the deep breath, is the key to connect with that.
Toda Rabbi, Rabbi Marcelo Bronstein. Thank you so much. A lot of gems, also a lot of a lot of images and ideas that I think landed really powerfully for people, including allowing ourselves to immerse in the mikvah of sound, and also even the notion of journaling our own sukkah. Beautiful ideas, and just to remember our bodies as representing the elements of the luvav. A lot, even much more to unpack. So next time. Also, I see you're getting a lot of love from BJ folks here, so that's really nice always. And I know a lot of gratitude from Robin Sacknoff. Robin, thank you again so much for sponsoring our practice today. Adi, thank you for holding us together. And for everyone, thank you for being here. Wishing you all a Shabbat Shalom and a sweet and restorative Shabbat. And thanks to you, Marcelo. Looking forward to hopefully having you back sometime soon. Blessings.